Victor Wembanyama was the most hyped draft prospect the league has seen in a very long time. The NBA had this man's game streaming at all times. ESPN was mocking trades with him for Joel Embiid even before the draft. Despite all this hype, we can all agree that he has more than lived up to it, as he's been breaking records and recording 5x5 games as a rookie. With that being said, today we will be going through every NBA team and deciding if we would trade their star for Victor, straight up. Remember that these are all unrealistic, but starting off with the Hawks, I'm for sure trading Trae Young for Wemby. Trae's in trade talks anyway, so this would be a no-brainer. But I'm going to have to trade the other centers in Capella and Okongwu on the roster to prioritize him and get better at other positions, but it is definitely worth it. The Celtics are keeping Tatum. He's only 19. Now, but there's no need to shake things up right now on the Celtics, as Tatum is entering his prime and is a top 5 player in the league already with an insanely bright future ahead of him. Plus, he already has a countless amount of experience under his belt, which not many 26-year-olds can say they have. The Brooklyn Nets have fallen off, from their big three to building around Mikal Bridges. He was going crazy after the trade last year, but is not the same this year and is probably the third best option on a championship team, not a number 1. Obviously, we are trading him for Wemby, but Claxton has to go then too. Hopefully, Wemby doesn't end up requesting a trade from Brooklyn. The Hornets almost had Wemby or Scoot from the lottery, but went with Brandon Miller instead. They were flamed for this, but it has gone well for them as he's averaging almost 17 points per game. However, their best player is LaMelo, who is always injured, it feels like, and either way would be traded for Vic. He's just not on the superstar tier that others are on, and he's getting shipped out. Next is the Bulls and Zach LaVine. I know Bulls fans were hopeful with that 1.8% chance at the first pick, but seriously, they haven't made a trade in years, it feels like, and this is the perfect way to break the drought with LaVine in trade rumors anyway. The Cavaliers are the second team that wouldn't trade their star for Wemby, as perennial All-NBA Donovan Mitchell has been excellent for them, and they already have all-star level bigs on the roster. They went on a crazy run this season, and there's no need to ruin the chemistry in the already thriving core. Luka is not going anywhere, and he's a generational talent as well, so no need to miss out on Luka's prime. Recently, they have found their center in Derek Lively, who's been playing great as a rookie. Vic is obviously better than Lively, but Mark Cuban is still not trading Luka for him. The Nuggets have been built perfectly around Nikola Jokic and might go back-to-back as champions, so no, he is not going anywhere, although I feel like they do race horses in San Antonio. The Pistons would trade their entire team and coach for Wemby. Nah, but of course they would trade Cade. They have a lot of young pieces, but are one of the laughing stocks of the NBA right now, and Wemby could create a night and day difference in the Motor City. I don't see the Warriors trading Steph, even though he is 36, as he is one of their only answers on offense these days, and overall he has done too much for the organization, and will retire as a Warrior. Another team close to landing Victor straight up from the draft is the Rockets, and I would trade anyone on the Rockets for him. Alperen Sengun has turned into a quiet star in Houston, but I'm taking Wemby long term over anyone on the team. The fall off of Tyrese Haliburton needs to be studied. Since his injury, he is nowhere near the same player, but either way, he's packing his bags for San Antonio, as Wemby is coming to replace Miles Turner in Indiana. The Lakers should not trade Anthony Davis or LeBron, as they know what it takes to win with each other from the bubble. They just need the right players around them to make it work. Also, try and picture LeBron getting traded. It's hard to. He's le GM anyway, he basically makes the trades and would only ship himself out if Bronny was a Spur. The Clippers would trade Kawhi for Wemby, as he hasn't been reliable health-wise, and the Clippers may need to shuffle up their roster anyways. Anyone on the Grizzlies would be traded, as Jaw's availability recently has been unpredictable due to off-court issues and injuries. There's a saying that availability is the best ability. JJJ and Bane would easily be traded right behind Jaw. Jimmy Butler is the rare non-top 5 player that I'm not trading, as he's the definition of heat culture in Miami, and come playoff time there's really no one better than him. Giannis is still in his prime and will not be traded. The Bucks are lucky to still have him in Milwaukee, and they would not ditch the face of their franchise just like that. The Timberwolves might surprise people, as Anthony Edwards will not be getting traded for Vic, mainly due to the bigs on the roster, but Ant is turning into a star in this league right before our eyes as well. The Pelicans have their own generational number 1 pick on their roster, but not always on their court. For these reasons alone, they might have to swap the 2 big men, as once again availability is the best ability. If Zion had no injury concerns annually, they would most likely keep him however. Jalen Brunson has thrived into an all-star talent with the Knicks, but would be traded for the potential of Wemby, although the decision would be closer than most think. However, a different star in the league would not be traded in Shea, as not only do the Thunder have Chet already at center, but Shea is now a superstar with his All-NBA first team selection and scoring, and will lead this young Thunder core to success in the coming years. Although they have multiple big men, anyone, including Paolo, would be available for a Wemby swap on the Magic. Paolo is having a very underrated season, averaging around 23 points per game, but Wemby will get to that level soon. The Magic have a lot of other pieces on the roster to build around Wemby as well. Now, for a very interesting take, the 76ers should trade injury-prone Joel Embiid to the Spurs for Victor Wembanyama. Joel has not been able to take the 76ers to the conference finals or beyond with James Harden or Jimmy Butler and a prime Ben Simmons in his tenure with the team, and a fresh start for both sides might be the answer to their struggles. Although he's in MVP talks every year, him in the playoffs equals the Dallas Cowboys. The Phoenix Suns are also interesting as they gutted their future for KD, but if I were them, I would trade KD for Wemby, but not Book. KD is injury prone, which has been a common theme in these trade scenarios, but he's old enough to ship out and create a Book and Wemby duo. The Blazers easily make this trade with Jeremy Grant for Wemby. Ayton is starting to pick it up in Portland, but let's be honest, we're taking Wemby over him every time. Scoot and Wemby would team up and the Blazers' future would be 10 times more bright. The Kings are having their best seasons in almost 2 decades, but would have to discontinue their core if Wemby is in the conversation. Fox and Sabonis are consistent all-star talent, but might have reached their peak already, and the potential of Victor would outweigh both of them. The Toronto Raptors sadly have to trade Scottie Barnes for Vic. Scottie is progressing fast and had a few triple-doubles this year while making his first all-star game, but it's just not enough to keep him over Wemby. Lauri Markkanen was another young player to take a huge step in their career recently, but he would have to pack up his bags and move for the 3rd time in his career to make room for Victor's arrival in Utah. Last, but honestly at this point least, the Wizards are the definition of poverty and need someone like Wemby to give them a sense of team direction and hope, as Washington has a bunch of players who are either extremely young or are random vets. So in that case, Kuzma is traded in an instance. Once again, these are all unrealistic scenarios, but it was fun to look at each team and assess how they view their best player in terms of Wemby. He will obviously stay with the Spurs for now and most likely for over a decade, as their last 2 #1 picks have done the same. So Anto from the future here, he just finished his rookie year, and this video was mainly made before it ended, and this season is up for debate as the best rookie season of all time, as he averaged 21 and 10. I'll definitely come back to this video in the future to see how it aged, but thanks for watching all the way through, and comment down below what you would change. And subscribe for more NBA content just like this.